Betsy, can you just describe to everybody really what you're truly passionate about with your mission?
My company is Corporate Culture Training Solutions, and we help people build a destination workplace. That is literally the gist of it. If you look at the workplace where we're at right now, you'll see that employee expectations have changed drastically over the last 5 to 10 years. Unfortunately, leadership development programs, culture development programs have not evolved to meet those expectations. We're listening to what employees want. We're also listening to the employer side of it and saying, we need help. How do we do this? How do we deliver what they want? But also, who's the voice to make them match in between to say, hey, let's help both sides here and bridge that gap. So that's what we're doing, is building that destination workplace with companies, helping them attract and retain talent.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Tori Cruz Show, where we're shining a light on real conversations and transformational stories with some of the most dynamic entrepreneurs and faith-driven leaders you'll ever meet. I'm Tori Cruz, your host, entrepreneur, virtual stylist, and former Miss Missouri USA, ready to guide you along this exciting journey. This isn't just any podcast. It's your new home for stories that uplift, conversations that transform, and a community that feels like family. From the real challenges to the exhilarating moments of achievement, we cover it all, infused with adventure, laughter, insights, and heartfelt discussions. So settle in, make yourself comfortable, and let's get this show on the road. This is the Tori Cruz Show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tori Cruz Show. Today we have a very special guest here locally in Dallas, Texas, Betsy Allen Manning. She is a leadership speaker. She's very impressive, very accomplished, but a beautiful heart to serve. And I am just so excited to talk to you today about all of the amazing things that you're up to.
Oh, I'm so excited too. I'm just excited that I get to see you again because it's been so long, but also to have this conversation too.
We met back, I think it was in maybe 2019 or 2020. It was a long time ago. But we don't see each other very often. And you're always running around speaking at all these different conferences. We tried to meet up in Arizona. It just doesn't happen. So anyways, this is just going to be amazing. So Betsy, can you just describe to everybody really what you're truly passionate about with your mission?
My company is Corporate Culture Training Solutions, and we help people build a destination workplace. That is literally the gist of it. If you look at the workplace where we're at right now, you'll see that employee expectations have changed drastically over the last 5 to 10 years. Unfortunately, leadership development programs, culture development programs have not evolved to meet those expectations. We're listening to what employees want. We're also listening to the employer side of it and saying, we need help. How do we do this? How do we deliver what they want? But also, who's the voice to make them match in between to say, hey, let's help both sides here and bridge that gap. So that's what we're doing, is building that destination workplace with companies, helping them attract and retain talent in this super hyper competitive marketplace.
Yes, that's so important what you're doing too. And we were just talking a little bit off camera, and I'm like, you are preaching to me right now because I've been building my team the past, 6 months or so. I really want to create this culture that people love and really are excited and passionate about. But the big thing is, like, they're invested in our brand and what we stand for and what the larger mission at hand is. So I'm really excited just to unpack everything that you're teaching these CEOs. And I'm curious about the expectations that have shifted. What are some of those expectations that have shifted from previous years to now in a workspace that may be completely unexpected, especially after 2020?
First of all, 94% of executives say that they know a distinct culture is important for business success. They know it gives them a competitive advantage when they're hiring new talent or they're retaining talent. However, they don't even know what it is. So for people that don't know what it is, I just want to give that definition up front so they understand that. And then you understand how to create the employee experiences to meet those expectations. So corporate culture or company culture is basically your combination, your mission, your values, your behaviors, and employee experiences. And where people get this wrong is they say, hey, we have this one type of culture. We're really laid back. We're really fun. But the employee experience is really different. I'm sure you've experienced that when you go to work for a company. And I mean, that's one of the reasons a lot of us become entrepreneurs is say, I want to create my own positive experience. So they need to have a good experience with their leadership. Developing ourselves as leaders is one of the most important things that we can do. I'm sure you're constantly looking at ways. For instance, have you read any books on leadership?
Oh my gosh, I am just starting now to read more books on leadership because that's the area of life that I'm currently in. However, it's such a full season of life that I'm also trying to squeeze in the times to read the books on leadership. Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. That is the one that I'm in the process of. But otherwise, I was more focused on developing myself first, like in the personal growth space for over a decade. I was very focused on that. And then now it's like, okay, I'm in a different position. You're always developing yourself, and that does help with leadership. But I think there's another layer that you're speaking about when it comes to I may be personally developed, but to be developed as a leader, that is a part that is like literally that next chapter for me that I am starting to really hone in on because I've seen the importance and the benefits that it can have on your organization.
Oh, yeah. We used to call them soft skills for leadership, and then we called them essential skills. And then after the pandemic had happened, we started to call them power skills that leaders need to develop. And part of that is because AI has come into the workforce and it's dehumanized the workforce. One of my friends always talks about the AI versus EQ, right? Your emotional intelligence versus the artificial intelligence. Understanding people, the people skills that you develop. This is why DISC is one of the first things that we help leaders understand, the different personality styles. Because as a leader, you need to know how to talk to each of your people, and this is how to coach each of your people. So that's one of them, developing those coaching skills that you need. So if someone's underperforming, Tori, there's crucial conversations sometimes we need to have, even as entrepreneurs. But a lot of people don't have those conversations because they're too scared. So we need to make sure we're equipped with what are some of those coaching conversations? What do they look like? If someone's underperforming, what would that conversation look like? If it's a first-time mistake, what is that conversation? They're different conversations. So we help you develop those coaching methods that you need. And so it's important to get these skills down. One of the skills is attracting talent in today's workforce. We need to know what it looks like. Companies are doing some bizarre things that are just awesome. They're doing community sharing. So they'll go to somebody else and say, hey, we need a part-time person for this role. Do you have anyone that works part-time that needs more hours that has these skills? And they're sharing within the community. So we're starting to learn all of these different strategies and attraction methods and coaching skills and methods that work for today's workforce because we are in different times than we ever have been before. So developing yourself as a leader, I would say if you have not read John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, please let that be one of the first ones you read.
I love John Maxwell for sure. But one of the things that I noticed when you were just saying there is like you're actually giving CEOs confidence because maybe they don't know the proper way how to handle if their employees underperforming. I'm sure they have the best intentions. You're actually infusing them with confidence because you're giving them the manual on how to do this properly and how to build this incredible culture. And so that's what I see more than anything. I'm sure you have so many transformation stories after transformation stories of how somebody came to you and it's like, I have no clue how to handle this situation, but I have the best of intentions too. Is that something that you see a lot?
I love that because we do what we do because we love serving people. That is truly why we do this. I'm in this because I worked for a company that ruled on fear and punishment for 6 years. They emotionally and verbally abused us. And we're talking screaming profanities in your face in front of customers and other employees and just demeaning you. And I stayed for them for 6 years. And that's why sometimes people say, what do I do in this toxic environment? And I'm like, quit. But like, it's not that easy. And like, actually, it is. The best day of my life was when I quit next to my wedding. Did I have to give up at that time? My nice home, my nice car? I did. I had to give up some things, step back and start all over again. I worked 3 jobs to make ends meet to get to a better place now. And I could start a company again and dream again. But I was saying this because sometimes you have got to move past where you're at, develop those skills, move forward, and be in that better place where you can serve people.
100%. I think that goes for anything in life. It doesn't even have to be a job, right? It could be that relationship. It could be the friends that you're surrounding yourself by. It could be even old patterns or for health. And it's like leave that behind and then see what God does on the other side and the fruits that it's going to bring, I think is just something that you're doing for these people.
Yeah. And he always provides. And then when you get the emotional paycheck, when someone comes to you and says, oh my goodness, thank you for teaching me that coaching skill because I literally needed it 3 days later. I had to have a difficult conversation with the employee and I would never have known what to say. They role played it ahead of time with a friend of theirs just to make sure they felt confident in it. And she said, it works so well. You can coach people to success or boss them to failure. So learning to coach people to success is a disservice to not learn this skill because they need it.
Yeah. And so you guys do this with one-on-one coaching and group coaching. Describe to people if this is something that somebody's like, I definitely want to contact you for. What capacity can they work with you in?
We have leadership workshops. Those are, I would say, our most popular, either half day, full day. And then we do some days with executives and another day with their staff to help develop them into leaders as well. But we can also do executive coaching.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to like the actual strategy part of this. What is it that can really make a workplace very appealing for an employee? Like what's one immediate thing that somebody can do to make their company more appealing from a culture standpoint?
From a culture standpoint, because that's just one of them, when I say that leadership is one of the experiences you need to provide, it's letting people know how you're going to grow. The growth experience is another way. There's 5 employee experiences you need to provide. Letting them know this is an opportunity for you to grow with us in this place. We're going to develop you personally. We're going to develop you professionally. We're going to give you the skills you need. We sit down, we have career mapping conversations with you every step of the way, and we're going to determine your skills gap and help you develop the skills you need. A lot of people will say to someone on your teams, if you want to be at this level, here's the skills you need. Good luck. And we throw them out there. But even as an entrepreneur, I have someone on my team who I've trained up. She wanted to learn a couple other things within social media, SEO, developing our newsletter. So we went through some training. I hired someone to come in and teach us some things with it. And we went through the training together. And I said, okay, now you're going to go and you're going to run with this. But creating processes along the way for them. So letting them know they have the support, that's huge. Another thing that will set you apart is job flexibility. Our employee well-being is a massive employee experience you must provide people. So having them feel I've got flexibility in my job and however you can give that to them.
What are some of those ways that you can give those to your employees?
Working remotely, but also not micromanaging, letting them actually do the work, teaching them, here's what we're looking for, giving them your exact definition of what success looks like on this project, laying it out. Here's the tools that I have provided you in order to do this. We ask you to bring your tools along as well. But then letting them know, I'm not going to micromanage you. I'm going to check in with you and see where we're at this point. And this is where we expect the first draft of this, or letting them know every step of the way. But that's just one of the ways we can provide flexibility is working remotely, not micromanaging people, empowering them to be able to make mistakes, do it on their own. And then, hey, let's course correct here. This didn't go so well this time around. Let's figure out how to course correct and get back on track here.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So there's a lot of people who are listening who went from corporate to entrepreneurship. Do you find a difference when you're training people if they are a corporate CEO or executive compared to an entrepreneur, or is it the same across the board?
It's going to be different depending on if it's a remote, hybrid workplace or if it's fully in person. So there's a lot of businesses that are still fully in person. So there's a lot of, when we talk about the team experience, developing a sense of team. How many do you have on your team?
There's 6 of us.
Okay, 6 on your team. So do the 6 people know each other? Have they been online together? Are you creating an experience for them to where they feel like I can reach out and collaborate with the other people on this team? A lot of times what we do as entrepreneurs, I've got this person that does this. I've got this person that does this. I have this person that does this. And why are they going to be committed to you and your business when they don't feel like they're part of your business? So what we started to do is we actually started to take our VAs over in the Philippines, who I love and adore, could not run my business without them. Grace and Jailani and Froy, who does our video. They're absolutely amazing. Every now and then we'll get on calls together. They reach out to each other and they'll ask questions when they need help with something. If they need more work in a certain area, they can refer each other. So they're collaborating, they're talking together. They feel a sense of team. Right now, we're sitting down and we're focusing more on our mission, our vision, our core values, and we're going to be rolling that out to our entire team. One of our values is serving the world, making it a better place. The impact that we can make. One of the things we'll do is offer them bonuses once a quarter. Anytime they go and volunteer somewhere, they get a bonus. So they just need to show us pictures or some kind of proof that they've been there, but then they get a bonus just for going out and volunteering and serving the world. That's who we're about. So who's Tori? What is she about? How does she make her impact? And how does her team members fit into that culture? How are they making that impact as well? You're empowering now, not just yourself, but your entire team. Your brand just starts to become bigger when you do this.
That's so funny. I actually just had a meeting with my assistant last week, and it was way longer than we typically do. And I was like, this is really important because I really want to add a philanthropy component to our company. And because that's something I've always done since I was young, and I've always volunteered and always been super active, especially in pageantry. I've always wanted to do it, even through college and everything. And so I sat down with Sydney and I was like, what are you passionate about? Have you ever done any volunteer experiences? What kind of organizations are you passionate about? And so we kind of riffed off and I learned so much about her and then also how we came together. She's my head styling assistant and she lives in Canada. I want to bring together this culture of serving others at the highest capacity. And we're doing this for way more than just us. And even for our clients, I want to do something that's just way larger from a philanthropy standpoint. And so we're actually literally right in the process of the exact same thing, but I'm actually wanting to plan like yearly trips to actually serve together and then have each of us serve at least once a quarter. I would like monthly, but also that's asking a lot. But I think once a quarter is perfect, like you're saying, to go out and serve. And then once a year, I want to bring the whole team together in one location to serve. So I'm on that same mission path, which I'm like, whew, I did one thing right here, did one thing right with the team.
You're doing
But
a lot of things right.
one of the things that I want to ask you though, too, and this is from a personal perspective, but I really hope it serves our audience too, because I know they're in very similar situations to us running our businesses. When I go back home and I'm sitting in my office and I'm thinking, okay, now how can I bring my team more together? What can somebody do right now if they're in that position where they're really in that moment where this person's doing this, is doing this, and they don't have that team camaraderie? What's maybe one or two things that they can implement immediately? Is it hey, everybody, let's jump on a Zoom call?
Yeah. So if you're remote, then this is the best way to do it. What I would do is your mission, values, vision. If you don't have that established, now would be a really good time to establish this is our mission. These are our core values. So here's the deal. It's one thing to know what the mission is. A lot of people can say, this is our company's mission. It's another thing to show people how to actually live it out. It's another thing to have core values. Everyone's like, integrity is our core value. Awesome. So what does it look like to display integrity in your everyday work? We have like solution focused is a core value, meaning they are problem identifier and we want to make people a solution identifier. If you're going to bring a problem to me, come to me with 2 solutions. Really understanding your mission, your core values, your vision and where you're going. Bring your team together remotely. If you can do it in person, that's great. But if you can't, then bring them together remotely and just say, hey, we're going to have a little powwow. I want to bring everybody together and we're going to discuss the company, our mission, values, our vision, where we're going, how you play a part in it. And I want you all to meet each other and start collaborating in order to bring this vision to life. So powerful. When people get on, now they feel like, wow, I'm part of a team. And those are some of the exercises that we do with executives and their teams is, okay, what are your core values? So what does it look like for you to live your core values out every single day? What does it look like in your daily tasks? What does it look like in your roles? So then you ask your team members, what does this look like for you as part of our team to live our mission? What does that look like to display these core values? Here's our vision. I want everybody to come to our next meeting with 3 ideas on how you can contribute to bringing this mission to life.
So how can somebody start creating their mission?
For instance, do you know what your mission?
I've created missions before for my company, but I feel like I'm in a different chapter now of my business. And there's been a lot of different pivots in the past 4 years, and wanting to like recreate that mission. Truly, the very first time that I created my mission, I was Googling and I was looking at all my favorite companies and what interests me and what I loved about these companies. And I just did a lot of research and then I created my own mission. So that's how I've done it before, but I've never gotten a guidebook on it.
Anybody that says there's just one way to do it is probably fooling you. I think there are multiple ways you could come to your mission. For us, Corporate Culture Training Solutions, it's a mouthful. We say CCTS.
I told Betsy, I'm like, you're just going to have to say that because I might mess it up.
You could call it CCTS. Our promise statement is we help organizations become a destination workplace. And if they don't understand what that is, we've got the what is a destination workplace on our website to describe what we do. Always let people know if they don't know what that is. But then from there, our mission is to put purpose, accountability, and loyalty back into the workplace. When I look at the world and the state that we're in right now, when I started to create the new mission, because ours is probably only about 2 years old, when I was looking at it, every CEO that I was talking to at the time, I keep hearing the same things like, what's lacking? Why do you need culture development, leadership development? And the same things kept coming up because ever since the pandemic, purpose has left the workplace. People are there for the paycheck. Literally, in our company, we call them paycheck employees, which means they're 1 foot out the door the entire time because you're just there for the paycheck. And the thing is, paycheck leaders only ever produce paycheck employees.
Yes, exactly. Because you attract what you are. What a poor way to live, honestly. You want a purposeful way.
For us, we're looking at businesses going, what do you want? I want purpose. We need accountability because we can't hold our staff accountable when our leadership team doesn't understand how to hold them accountable. That's why we develop the leadership skills. That's why it's important because you need to be able to hold your staff accountable and they will respect you. You gain more influence by knowing how to be a leader, knowing how to serve people better. And that's being accountable to even the hard conversations and being accountable to, we call it NNBs, non-negotiable behaviors, meaning gossip is a non-negotiable for us, non-negotiable. This is what gossip looks like. We can describe it in every way. You have to be very clear. Everybody has a different view of what values are, what non-negotiable behaviors. So These are the things you start to establish. And then from there, it's accountable and then putting loyalty back in it because people aren't loyal anymore. People are testing the waters at every job they go to. Millennials will stay at a job maybe 3 to 5 years, maybe. So how do we get them to be loyal to our company? Well, you got to provide a workplace they love, they don't want to leave, and that they're going to help you attract other talent.
So how do you keep millennials at the workplace?
By providing those 5 experiences that I talked about, by providing the type of culture that they align with. This is why it's important to be very clear on what you stand for. And you talk about your mission, by the way, this is how we come up with our mission. The people that I serve, what are the main things they're coming to me to help them with? This is my mission, is to help people understand how to do this and this, right? So for us, it's purpose, accountability, loyalty. Our goal is to put that back into the workplace, not just for employers, but for employees as well, because they want that as well. And for the people that don't know what it's like to feel loyal to a leader, to a company, honestly, they're desperate for it. They're desperate for that destination workplace.
Absolutely. Everybody wants a sense of being seen and belonging. And that's exactly what you're really doing for these people. You're helping the employees feel more seen and feel more belonged and really invested into a very large mission that's doing so much more than just show up for work for the paycheck, you're 8 to 5. That's just not fulfilling at the end of the day, I don't think, for anybody. You're doing so much more than just teaching them. It's like the teaching is actually serving a much larger purpose of fulfillment and confidence in their life too, which in turn, if your employees are happy and you're providing this incredible culture, it makes the executive running the business beaming with joy because at the end of the day, that's exactly what you want. You didn't build it to have a crappy culture. You're building it to have a beautiful place to come to work and provide.
But what's interesting about it is with remote workplaces, and even with entrepreneurs like us, we've got smaller teams compared to a lot of other corporations out there. We've never had to think about culture before in our business. As an entrepreneur, you don't think, I've got this person that works here, this person that works here. But guess what? Now, as entrepreneurs, we need to start thinking about, how do I make my company a destination workplace? What's interesting is I get calls all the time from people asking if we're hiring. I love your mission. I love everything you stand for on your website. I want to come work for you. What do I have to do to come work for you? We're like, oh, okay. We're not looking for that particular position right now, but please send over your resume. And when we do have something available, we'll let you know. Even some workshops I've done for companies, I've had people reach out to me and say, can I come work for you? But it is, to me, the biggest blessing that God has put this amazing mission and vision on my heart. And I don't know about you and the listeners as well, but you probably have this massive vision of where you're going to go. And God has given my husband and I just this huge vision for our company. It can't happen without his hand on it. And it can't happen without an amazing team. And if I'm going to be preaching this message out there, we have to 100% be living it ourselves and walking it. I was at a mastermind group in January, and we were talking about positioning ourselves. And someone had said to me, Betsy, you're all about purpose. We talk about having a sense of purpose a lot and putting purpose into the workplace. And they're like, you, of all people, are one of those people that walks in purpose every single day. That should be part of your personal branding. And I had never thought about that before. That is who I am. That's everything of who I am and what God's put on my heart. We all have a message in our heart that God has given us for the world. And no matter what that message is, it can filter through our business to other people. And people are going to gravitate to work with Tori Cruz because she speaks about this mission of hers. She speaks about what she's doing in the world. And people say, oh my gosh, I want to be part of that.
Yes. I mean, people are attracted to people with a larger mission, not just exactly what the task is at hand. That's just a means, but you can use this as your ministry. Impact the world, truly. And I know that's what you're doing in speaking. And I want to take a little turn here because you are such a dynamite speaker with so much energy. Your heart, your talent, everything shines through on stage. If you haven't watched any of Betsy's videos, you have to go. It's like, bam, Betsy Allen Manning.
I don't know what you're talking about, energy.
Honestly, I think that's the coolest thing is that both of us are living in our purpose and our calling because we've listened to God's direction. That's what brought us here. And when you're living in that calling, you are naturally infused with this energy and this passion, this light. And that's where you get this energy. I'm sure you get this all the time too. The number one thing that people say to me is your energy is contagious. And I know you're the exact same way. You walk into this room and you're just like a ball of life and energy and fun and joy and happiness. I love watching you speak. I love seeing your videos and you're taking the selfies in all these big different conference areas. There's a lot of women who want to be speakers. They're aspiring speakers. There's not very many female speaking coaches out there, whether male or female. It's sometimes challenging to find a really good speaking coach to really help you craft your keynote. Also, people get stumped because they want to be a speaker and they have no clue where to start.
Every week, I get probably 3 inquiries from people saying, "Hey, I want to be a speaker. What do I do?" And I think people think it's very easy to get into this world, and we know it is not.
Where would somebody start if they're wanting to just speak more this year? Where do you think they should start?
First of all, hopefully you know your topic, what you want to speak on.
Let's say they don't.
So if they don't, this is what's funny is in the beginning, I speak on goal setting and motivation, and I speak on leadership and customer service. I worked in the hotel industry, so I was doing like this 5-diamond service talk, and I could do them all pretty well. However, when you really land on something, and I'll tell you, it took me 10 years to get to the point of we help companies build a destination workplace.
Mhm.
Don't think that you're just going to get your ultimate, here's my purpose, my vision. I was watching as like friends around me were getting their thing, their one thing. And I'm like, where's my God? Hello. I felt like God is saying, when your heart is ready, when your character is ready, you're going to have it. His timing's always the best timing. We know that. So if you don't have your thing right now, that's okay. Start speaking on what you are passionate about. I would avoid trying to go create 5 different talks. So I made the mistake in the beginning of I speak on this and that, but then you don't know what story goes into what talk. I had one talk. They hired me for, I think it was a leadership. And I had a story that was similar. It started off the same way in one of my other motivational talks. And I started telling that story. Luckily, on the spot, I can recover it. But if you're not that way and you need to memorize your talk. So first of all, I would get involved with something like NSA or Toastmasters. NSA is great. It's a National Speakers Association.
It's how we met.
Both. Yeah, it's how we met. You meet so many great speakers. You get a lot of tools. I always point people to Jane Atkinson's book, Wealthy Speakers 2.0.
Interesting. I've never read that.
Oh my goodness. It's like the Bible of the speaking industry. She has a ready, aim, fire process, and it guides you through each part of you could speak on everything, but let's pick your top passion. Just go with that. I will also say it's so easy to want to copy other people and what other people are saying, what other people are doing, even their copywriting. I had spoke at one event and there was another speaker who took my entire copy from one of my talks. And I know no one else had the copy because I wrote it from scratch. It wasn't an AI thing or any, I mean, I literally was my word for word copy for their description. But here's the deal. If you want to get booked, you really want to establish yourself, establish your voice. Use your voice that God gave you for the message he put on your heart. Don't try and be a copy of anybody else. In our industry, CPAE is a Hall of Fame speaker. I said, can I pick your brain? Which we all do in the beginning. I want to know how to do this better. And this man ripped me to shreds. So we had a lunch that I paid for an hour and a half. And I came home in tears. I kid you not. This whole rah, high energy personality, you got to lose that. No one will ever take you seriously in the corporate world speaking like this. I think he said at best a $5,000 speaker. And at the time I was already commanding $8,000. So I was like, okay, that's not true. Your TEDx talk sucks. And he just ripped me. And that talk, by the way, gets me booked for a lot of CEO events. So I came home. My husband got this picture of me from when I was a little girl. He brought it down and he says, see this little girl? And he said, if someone had tore her to shreds like that, what would you say to her? I said, first of all, I wouldn't let them attack her in that way. And I would stand up for her. And second of all, I would say to her, God gave you your voice, who you are, for a reason. So use what you have. Use your God-given gifts and talents and your God-given personality because you're wired that way for a reason. He didn't make a mistake when he made any of us. And for a couple months, I did try and go a little bit more dry, trying to be the more practical keynote speaker. And I was bored. I wanted to quit speaking because it wasn't me. And I was losing business. I wasn't getting referred afterwards. And I went back to being myself because that's who God made me to be and called me to be. By the way, I think when we're wired a certain way, God calls us to step up to who that person is. A year and a half later, I saw that person at a meeting, an NSA meeting, and said, what are you doing to get booked? I hear you're everywhere right now. Like you're booked left and right. You know, you bumped your fee up. Like, what are you doing? Because I'm not feeling I'm as relevant.
You said, hold on, you want to have lunch again, but you pay this time? I got you.
Oh, I wish I would have thought out of my feet, right? No, I smiled and I said, I went back to just being my happy-go-lucky self. Now, granted, you still have to provide good content. Yes, they want motivation. I would say I'm a motivational speaker, but I'm also a topical speaker. So leadership and culture, the people I speak to want strategies. They want like, give me something I can go and do something with right now. So yes, they want the motivation as well, but you've got to provide that. So I have both, but the interaction I bring to the table, the energy, that's what I'm booked for. People love that along with a message. And I went back to being that person. And I love that's who I get to be. My husband, he's like, you're the same on stage as you are off stage. Like you're goofy, you're just you, but it works. If you try and be someone else, it doesn't work. So being yourself. Wealthy Speaker 2.0, I'd read the book. If you want to work on your keynote craft, Delatoro McNeil, he's who I went to. It helped elevate. That's where my TEDx talk was born, at his Crush the Stage event. He's phenomenal with that. So I would get out there, start speaking for free at chambers. Don't expect to get paid. You're not going to get 10K just out of the gate. So start small, speak for free about 20, 30 times before you actually expect to get paid for it, so you can hone your message. And then always be working on your craft. I don't know about you. I still work on my craft. I'm always trying to get better. I'm always wanting to improve at different levels. We need different mastermind groups for the different levels that we're at. Sometimes we outgrow a former coach that we had, a former mastermind group, and we need a mastermind now with different people who are at different levels. So I would say get a coach is one of the most important things that you can do.
Oh my gosh, every day of the week. It's not because I hopped around, I didn't like this one, I didn't like that one. It was because I have changed and had different areas of my life, and then in business, and you're like competing for Miss USA, and then as an entrepreneur, and then now this stage of entrepreneurship, like it's just different, right? So it's so important to invest in a mentor and a coach who holds you accountable, who knows those skills. It's their calling. So hire people in their expertise that you're lacking in, and then get in the right rooms. Like you said, the masterminds. I'm so huge on investing in masterminds. It is in what you know, but mostly in who you know, but it's cherishing those relationships and really nurturing them and going deep with the people who you really feel connected with, instead of just having a wide array of your network and then only go deep with those ones that you feel most aligned with. I've learned more than ever this past year, collaboration is where it's at.
And you don't know that until you get into the right room with the right group of people. And don't only go there to get something, go there to serve others, share your knowledge, your expertise as well, help others out. But my husband always says, if you're the smartest person in your mastermind group, it's time for a new group. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that current group that you're in. It's time for you. You may have outgrown them. It's time to move on and get a group for the stage that you're at in life right now. And you're in some groups, some people are okay where they're at, nothing wrong with that. But if you are going to your next level, then you need next level thinkers around you. That's why I love you, Tori. I'm always seeing you at your next level. And I always say, always be evolving.
Thank you for that. I'm in one of those stages of life where it's the very full life. I just put myself on a podcast tour. And this is not something that I have been gearing up for 6 months. Oh no, this has been something that I just talked to my team last week, and I said, hey, by the way, I have all these events and I'm speaking at this conference, or I'm attending this event or this mastermind. I'm going to be in all of these cities within the next 2 to 3 months. This podcast tour wasn't something that I just completely planned and big, huge strategy. It was actually one of these moments where I've been praying about it for a long time, since I had my podcast for 4 years now, but I took a 1.5 year break. And it was one of those situations where I'm like, you know what? I know when the timing's going to be right to do a relaunch. And I just kept praying about it. And I was like, all right, God, I know he's going to show me when the time is right. And typical Tori fashion, God doesn't give me a word and I don't act on it immediately. As I'm traveling, I'm doing the podcast tour, and it's just a very beautiful thing to be able to do these in person. It just brings out the relationship building. You and I, we don't get to see each other that often. We don't talk too frequently, but we see what each other are up to on social media. Sitting here in a room together is just so much more fun. Number one, relationship building is so huge along this entrepreneurial journey, especially, and finding those people who can really uplift you and teach you and hold you accountable.
Yeah, and challenge you. It's also knowing the people that you may look at and say, okay, you're healthy competition. This person's doing this. Oh, I could probably do that too. I think it's also knowing. So podcast tour wouldn't be right for everybody. For the stage of my life where I'm at, we are starting a podcast probably within the next 6 months, but I cannot imagine doing a podcast tour. So you have to know what's right for you in your business at which time, which that's where the coach comes in. That's where the mastermind comes in. I think when you're starting off, you're looking at what everybody's doing and you try to do it all.
That's why I paused it, because it was like the shiny object syndrome. People see what people are doing. Don't just do it because everybody else is doing it. And that's what I was thinking. I wanted to launch my podcast again, but I didn't want to do it like everybody else. I am going to all these different cities and doing it in person, but tagging along to my speaking events, tagging along to other women empowerment events, and then doing this on top of it. So it's different and it feels more authentic to who I am and to my brand.
And it's the right timing for you and your brand, whereas somebody else may say, oh, Tori's doing this, so I should do this too.
Please don't do that, especially if you're married and have kids. It takes a lot of energy to do this, and I'm totally with you on that. Don't look at this and think you have to do what I'm doing.
It's easy to get distracted with the shiny object syndrome, and we all do it in the beginning. I just think it's a natural part of being an entrepreneur, but it's really sitting down and saying, where is my time spent the best in my business? This is something I'm still learning and growing as a leader and as an entrepreneur is time management. It's really looking at your day and saying, is this the highest and best use of my time? That was one of the best phrases that someone has ever taught me, is when you're sitting down, you're doing something, is this the highest and best use of my time? So if you're on Toy Blast or one of those other games, is this the highest and best use of my time? If you need some downtime and you need just brainless activity, maybe it is at that time, but have an alarm set for when you're going to get back to work then. Or social media, is this the highest and best use of my time? If it's not, could I outsource this to somebody else? No matter what role you're in, you can either delegate to somebody else, you can collaborate with somebody else to help spread out the bandwidth. If you don't have the full bandwidth, someone else to help with that. Or you can automate tasks. So I'm really taking this on, learning how to automate more. We are hiring you call it OBM, I call it a DBM, online business manager, digital business manager. Will someone please let us know when you find out what the true name is? But we're hiring a digital business manager because we need someone to look at all of our digital assets and say, look, you can get rid of half of these digital assets, software programs, all of this, and streamline all of your processes. You're doing way too much manually that you could automate. So as entrepreneurs, I think we've got to start looking at, where am I spending my time the best? Where can I automate? Where can I delegate? And where can I collaborate? Boom. Got that part figured out. Now it's just bringing it to life.
Yes. And like releasing that too to somebody else and knowing that my online business manager, she is doing all of my systems and processes. I was talking about, I used Dubsado and she is just making it, it is beautiful. I'm like, this is amazing. All you have to do is click 2 buttons. Everything is sent off. Everything is in workflow and it's beautiful. But it hasn't always been like that. And there's other aspects of my company too that I'm also trying to automate and create better systems for. But I just think it's a learning process. Don't you think? Every business is continually evolving. And I think there's always going to be new learning curves. We're always trying to manage our time more. And I know there's a lot of women who watch this who have families and they have kids. And I am not married and I don't have kids right now. And so it's like, I have this whole other level of respect for mothers who are running companies, have kids, and doing all that too. I'm like, wow, it's a lot. And so I'm trying to take this time in my life and making sure that everything is really in workflow, and I'll never be prepared. But God willing, I'll have a husband and kids someday. And then hopefully everything's a little bit more in workflow.
I think that's the key. I've always been told, hire someone before you need them. At first I thought, I don't have the money to hire them right now. What are you talking about? Now I 100% understand I should have had a DBM probably about a year and a half ago. Didn't really know that they even exist. It was at a mastermind group where someone had said, the best thing that you could do for the business level that you're at right now, because we were all around the same level, is get yourself an online business manager or digital business manager. So came home, I started to look at it and said, this is really important. This is the thing we need to be focusing on right now.
Where can somebody find someone like that?
You start searching online. I don't know where you found yours. My husband actually quarterbacked that for us. So he found everyone. I think we looked on Upwork. There's hubstafftalent.com where you can find some people. So he looked in a couple different places there. I think Indeed may have some people as well where you can look. He put the feelers out. Here's something that's helpful if you are looking for an online business manager. Make a 20-minute video of all of your processes, beginning to end. Standard operating procedures or processes. This is what I do. And then show it to them, because a good one will come back and say, here's where we can slash half the programs you're using and slash your time. The value of getting back my time, that's worth every penny that I can invest in this right now. Because when I think about all the time that I don't have that I need to do these things, it's a sense of relief. It gives me so much peace to think that I'm going to free up all this time.
Yes. Oh my gosh, completely. I actually found mine off of Upwork. Upwork has been a really good resource actually for me to find contract work as well. So that's what I would recommend the most. Fiverr's also a spot, but I haven't had as good of luck on Fiverr. So as we tie this up, put a pretty little bow on it. You're very busy, you travel quite a bit for speaking. You have a lot of different things going on. How do you manage your work side of life? Plus, rest is extremely important as an entrepreneur and for everybody. But I think oftentimes when you have a lot going on, sometimes it's hard to rest. how do you really unwind and unplug so then you can actually revive yourself and rejuvenate for more impact?
Yeah, and this is going to be different for each person because you have to know your limitations. For instance, May is the busiest month for me, May and October normally, because those are big conference
Mhm.
months. So I'm gone a lot. I have a 7-city tour in May in the beginning. Before that, I've got events I'm speaking at. From that 7-city tour, I booked another 2-day employee wellness retreat that I'm coming in and doing for a company straight from that. So we're talking back to back to back to back events. I know that I have to bake into my schedule. If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. Marie Forleo said that.
Yep.
Bake into my schedule my downtime coming off of those 2 weeks. Because I know right after that, I'm going right back into some busy times again. It's baking in, putting it on your schedule. Writing down focus times and break times has really helped as well. I think it was 2021. I had just coming off the pandemic. I went into a busy season, but I was not managing my peace very well. A lot of anxiety around what's going on in the world, conspiracy theories that were happening that you're like, what if it's true? The sky is falling. And then you start looking at stuff. And I started spiraling. I started to look at what are my stress triggers? What's putting me into a state of stress? I'm not going to be on the news anymore. I'm unfollowing all of the people that just post conspiracy theories left and right on social media or that have these big political point of views that it's not serving me and it's not serving my clients either because I'm not able to show up at my best. So knowing what your stress triggers are, taking that downtime. I love my husband so much. It took me forever to find him. So I always check in from time to time. Am I gone too much? Am I too busy? He's part of the company now, but I still check in with him. I want to make sure we are first and foremost. It's God, spouse, and then kids. Our kids are fur baby, Bella. But it's checking in with loved ones as well and making sure that they're okay, you're okay. And I spent a year searching how to walk in peace. And I discovered a lot, but the main thing I discovered was peace is a gift God gives us, but you actually have to seek it and you have to work to maintain it. It's not just like, oop, I get peace, it's download. It's no, you have to work at it. And that means choosing when to say no to things. It's choosing when to unfollow people. It's choosing what conversations you're no longer going to allow and what you will and will not do in your business anymore. I can't say yes to everything anymore.
What a gift, though, that God has blessed you with so much abundance that you do have a choice and you don't just have to say yes to everything. And now you can be a little bit more choosy on the things that actually serve you and serve the best too. I love what you said about your husband. I'm 32, right? Almost 33, not married, God willing. I keep saying that's the plan, but I just think it's so cool because you're like, it took me a long time to find him. And I'm like, amen, sister. I don't know him, but I see this through you and just knowing you, your relationship is so endearing and so strong. And that is the most beautiful thing that you just said. You check in with him to say, hey, am I traveling too much? The point here that I want to make is that you can only do that with a person who genuinely loves and supports you and uplifts you because you're a powerful woman and it takes a really strong man to lift a powerful woman like you. And you know what? You two are a power couple though, because always in your business. I was so excited when you told me that. I'm like, that's so neat. But it's so cool that you actually check in with him like that. And you know that he has your best interest always. And that's what's creating your thriving relationship.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be where I'm at if it weren't for him supporting me for the first 8 years where I worked my tail off, but I was making pennies and doing some work here and there. And then he really helped me get to where I'm at. He helped me financially, helped me emotionally support what I was doing. He was a sounding board for me. And I respect him so much. And the fact that he's in the business now, and I'm just so excited. I'm proud of him. He just released his book, Explosive Sales. So if any of you need sales help, oh my goodness. His book is all about being the servant sales professional, not the cliche salesperson. And I'm proud of the work that he's doing and what he's bringing to our company.
Okay, what is the book? Because I'm going to get that too.
Explosive Sales. And I will send you a copy.
Oh my gosh, this has been so great. I have even more questions that I want to just talk to you about, but I know we got to wrap it up here. So where can people find you?
2 places. So BetsyAllenManning.com. That's my personal website, my speaker site. And then if you're looking for any help with your company, with your culture or leadership skills, you can go to thedestinationworkplace.com.
Thank you so much, Betsy, for coming on today. This has been so much fun just hanging out with you here in Dallas. And I just always enjoy your presence and your light. And I don't know if our listeners realize this or not, but right in the middle of our podcast, the lights went off right when we were talking about the light within us that God gives us. So God has a sense of humor. Seriously, thank you so much for doing this today and coming over here and having a nice little chat. I just love seeing everything that you're up to, and you're making a massive impact. Everybody, if you are in the corporate space and you're looking for a speaker, Betsy is your gal. She's dynamite. And then also any executive that is needing any leadership guidance, seriously reach out to Betsy. We'll put everything in the show notes below. Thank you so much for coming on today. This has been amazing.
Thanks, Tori. It's so much fun. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Tori Cruz Show. If today's episode inspired you, let's keep the momentum going. For our YouTube family, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're always in the loop with our latest episodes. And for our podcast listeners, your ratings and reviews are incredibly valuable. They help us reach more people and continue bringing inspiring stories your way. Remember, this isn't just a podcast, it's a growing community of family. Every like, share, and review helps us grow on our journey together, helping us to highlight more impactful stories. Until next time, keep being the light for yourself and others. See you on the next adventure.